Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I have a journal that I'd like to share with you this evening, finally. I have sort of been in, I'm going to adjust this, so just bear with me. I have sort of been in what I call a creative slump. I mean, sometimes you just get artistically to where you have nothing to offer, I guess is the best way to describe it. And in those times, I like to pause and reflect and take a minute, and I will often turn to other artists for inspiration because I think that sort of gets your juices flowing again and gets you ready to create on your own. I signed up for and took some classes from Nick the Booksmith, and in particular I did her carpetbagger course. I did some others, but I loved the carpetbagger course. I love the look of those journals and the feel of them, and kudos to her for such a great job creating them. And so I wanted to give it a shot myself, making one. And of course it's going to look like mine because I'm always going to throw in a little bit of my grunginess and, what I do artistically. So this one is going to be on my Etsy shop, and I just wanted to show it to you. I put a trim of fabric here with some fancy burlap. It looks almost like burlap lace. It's a ribbon, but I love the texture of that. And the fabric that I used has pretty rusts and browns. You can see it on the back here. And maybe you get a good shot of that. And I put some lace across the bottom, and I did the ribbon tie on the side like she does, and I used rusts and oranges and peaches and browns to sort of tie all that in. And on top you can see where I have some paper clips in there, and I used the same color ribbons and also added in some laces so that when you hold the book like this, there's some grunginess to look at. And when you look from the side, there's lace on the pages, and you can see that. And I did a double seam binding closure on this one. And this book measures, I believe, 8 3/4 by almost 6 inches, so it's a fairly large journal. This is a vintage button off of a 1942 to 43 jacket. I really liked it. And for embellishment on the front, this is actually Debbie Ann Parent's. This was her Nellie photograph and some little ephemera, and I used some fabric and buttons and pinned it all together. And then that is on one of those bulbous pins that it's just hooked to the fabric there so that it will dangle and sway for you. And I did something a little different in this one. I went to my stash of ephemera that I have, things that I have collected over time at flea markets and estate sales. And, those are things that I cherish and I've held on to. And I started looking at some of them like, how could I use these in my journals that I create? How could I share this with other people too? So in this front pocket, that is lace here, and there's a coffee stain paper backing on it, so like you can't see all the way through it, and it helps strengthen it, but I thought that was lovely. And this is a copy of a page from a botanical dictionary that I have. But this is a weekly time book, and this was one of the things that has been in my stash forever. So I took the front cover, and I took the middle page from the weekly time book there, and you can actually see the names of the workers and how much they were paid that day, $2.98. Of course, because it's from 1909, and you can clearly see the date in the corner there. I absolutely love ephemera like this. And then I just added some coffee stain pages so that you won't have to write on the middle page, but you can still do some additional journaling in that weekly time book. So that's right there. And this is like elementary school paper with a ruffle lace sewn on the edge, and that's some graph paper with lines next. And this was a piece of scrapbook paper that I've sewn on the edge, and there's a lady there for ephemera pinned on to write on, a journaling card. And here, this rusty paper clip, and it is indeed rusty because if you look close, you can see where it's beginning to leave a mark on the paper. but it's just added for an extra page in the book, because I imagine a woman back in this time period, if her journal were beginning to get full, she would certainly tack in extra pages to make it last a little longer. This piece of ephemera is a photocopy from a brief German course. It's a book, I believe it was from 1920, university level. You can see how small the book was because that's a page that was in the book, but I loved that. So I made a copy of the front there and stuck that in this one. And there's a card there. I believe that's Debbie Ann's too. This is actually, I think I did pretty good, if I may say so myself. I have a gasoline ration card from World War I think it was. And so, you know, it's front and back pink. So I copied it and put it together, and I used the hole punches exactly where it was hole punched before. This is exactly what my copy of my gasoline ration card looks like, front and back, with the instructions and, you know, how you do it. And so I wanted to add that to this book for you. There's a piece of ephemera that's Debbie Ann's, and some scrapbook paper, more paper as we go through. And this is another page that's clipped on to flip up for writing. Just, that goes right there. Another photograph for journaling on back. And this is another piece of, this is actually a vocabulary lesson from the German Language University textbook. There. And this is a piece of Debbie Ann's. And this is the, you know, these are the strings that make the binding little bow ties. And I wanted to show you in there too. I forgot to do this. I'll stop and do that. There's some buttons, you know, that I made a little chain there, some vintage buttons for decoration in there. But let's, you know, we'll get back to where we were and carry on. I'm scattered. It's been a while since I've made a video. This was a postcard, and the reason why I bought this one is because the address on it was Crystal Springs, Mississippi, which is about a 20-minute drive from my house. So, you know, I made a photocopy for you. On the back of the postcard was the legend of the dogwood. It's beautiful, I think. And so, you know, there's that right there. And this is another one of those pages trimmed in lace at the top that allows you to flip up and add more space there. And more writing. I hope I'm keeping this in frame decent enough. There's a page. Oh, this is a piece of ephemera from when people's radios were actually more important than their television sets, because not everybody had a television set. There's not a date on this one, so I'm not really sure. But I know the phone number on it says dial 3-6714. So that's not like, I'm going to bring this up here where I think you can see it. There's the phone number, see it? But this is a radio repair service card that would be passed out, and talking about, you know, how they can fix your radios and things. And there's a birdie card and some more paper and scrapbook paper, and there's a vintage lady's photograph. That's another journaling card. And another page that was just tacked in to be an extra page. Like I said, like I imagine that ladies would do in their journals. You can really see the rust coming off, rubbing on this light paper, but I love that because it just looks like you've got a really old safety pin there. I mean, paper clip there, and that's great. And there's some birdie ephemera on a card, a mileage ticket. Plenty of room for journaling in this one. That's what this one was designed for. More ephemera, and there too on this lovely scrapbook paper. It comes through, and then in the back pocket, which is done exactly like the front, with the botanical dictionary page there, or encyclopedia page there, I have an old Singer sewing machine manual that is really old. I don't know if you can see that. I copied that manual and put slips of different papers in there for you to use as a little journaling booklet, as you can see. And then this piece of ephemera is one of my war ration books that I have. And I did staple it on the side instead of sewing it because my original, this is how it's put together. It is stapled on the side like that. And there's the name of the person. I have probably about 20 of these because I just love them and I collect them. I have a grandfather that until the day he passed away, which he's been gone a while now, but he had filing cabinets in an extra bedroom that he stored with cans of food and non-perishables, so that just in case anything ever happened, he would have his grocery stockpile. I made photocopies of the stamps that were left in the book and alternated that. There's some more. And it was torn just like that, so I cut it out on that stamp page. And like I said, I just alternated for you so you'd have some writing space. But anyway, I think that's why that time period fascinates me, because my grandfather would always tell me about the World Wars and the Great Depression, and it just fascinated me the lengths that people had to go to survive, you know. And it wasn't just the poor, it was everybody at that time. So anyway, this is the journal, and I've kind of gotten my creative juices flowing again. And thank you for taking the time to watch this. Like I said, I know it's been a while since I've put a video up. This one will be for sale in my Etsy shop, but don't think for 1 minute that I have forgotten you. I am aware that I finally topped 1,000 subscribers, and I'm very, very excited about it. So I'm going to begin working on a journal for it. I want it to be, you know, a pretty large journal for that amount of subscribers, and thank you all so much for that. It means so much, and I hope to have many more, you know, and to be making more videos soon. But thank you for watching, and I'll leave a link to this, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.